Brad Tavares. I'll be fighting Ricky Fukuda March 2nd, UFC on Fuel in Japan. I've watched a few of his fights. He'll go for the takedown. He likes to wrestle and grind. I'm not disrespecting the guy, but I don't think his wrestling is at the highest level. He has a little bit different wrestling where they use a little more judo, some throws, uses his hips a little differently, but you know, that's the same type of thing I faced in Yang. And I was able to, you know, stuff most of his shots. He ended up getting me to the mat for a split second, but I reversed him. I could see myself stuffing him, stuffing his shots, and, you know, keeping his striking. And I've seen him in past fights, you know, when that doesn't work for him, he's a fan pleaser and he'll go out and, you know, try to bang it out. That's the type of fight I'm expecting. However, if it does go to the ground, not worried at all. I've been working a lot with my jiu-jitsu coach, Sonny Nohara, also with Robert Drysdale closely. My ground game is improving, you know, immensely, both top and bottom games. So if it does go to the ground, hey, that's where it goes. I'm sure I'll beat him there. I've never been to Japan, and I actually am very excited to go there. I am myself Japanese, you know, see some of the heritage and whatnot. Growing up as a kid, you know, old UFC and especially Pride was, you know, a big factor in me being so involved in the sport. Those Pride fights were so exciting. And this is the same arena that all those Pride and K1s took place in, Saitama. So to fight in this arena that those great fights used to be put on in, it's gonna be something. From watching the fights in Japan and all these fights that I've seen before in Japan, I know the type of, you know, I know what to expect from the Japanese fans. You know, they're very well educated in the sport, very respectful. You'll see this sold out arena be dead silent. All you can hear are the fighters making their grunts and moans and the cornermen, and then, you know, something exciting will happen and the place will just erupt. I like to be creative with it. I'm not gonna try and be flashy like a Anthony Pettis type fighter. You know, that's not me. I'm not gonna be running off the cages unless, you know, I really see an opening or something. I do switch it up. You know, I maybe haven't gotten to show it all in a fight, but I'll bring it out when I need it. With Ray, it's good because he likes that creativity, you know, and he pushes me to be creative. But the good thing about it is he helps me correct it, helps me make it better, stronger, faster. You know, Ray might not have as much MMA fights, he might not be from a wrestling, jiu-jitsu background, but he's been in the fight game itself. He's had to deal with all these things. So to have him in my corner like that, it's like a book for me, an encyclopedia, a go-to guide. And, you know, to have somebody like him, he has the same warrior spirit I have. You know, none of his fighters, he'll never let them give up. Not saying that any of us ever would, but just to have that guy in there pushing you that extra inch, you know, to push that little bit more hard you need to push, it's always a plus. We have to work on a lot of, I would say, my downfalls as far as little things here and there that had never been corrected in my career. Prior to working with Ray, I'd been fighting for three, maybe 4 years or so. In that 3 years, I'd created some bad habits, you know, that had never been corrected, and I kept them because they work. But, you know, like Ray told me, as we get to that higher level, which, you know, I'm at the highest level we can get at, and as I start climbing up these ranks, I'll fight tougher, more skilled, better opponents who will be able to expose these flaws. I worked out all those kinks. I've been working with them for a few years now, and it's made such a huge difference. And now lately I've been learning new things, adding new weapons to my repertoire. I got some new attacks ready for Fukuda, and excited about it. Southpaw, I have my go-to guys I can always count on, like Danny Davis. You know, he's been in there for me, and he's down to spar with me. He'll go all 5-6 rounds with me if he has to, you know. So I'm blessed to be surrounded by these good training partners. The only way to get ring experience is actually fighting. It definitely helps to be in there, get the experience, know what it's like to be tired and keep pushing through it. And you know, in my past 2 fights, I've been in that similar position. So if it happens in this fight, you know, I'm always going to be looking for a finish somewhere or another, a knockout, a submission, whatever. I'll take what I can get. But if we do end up going 3-5s, you know, I'm more than ready for it. I work my cardio really hard, strength and conditioning. You know, I'm trying to get as well-rounded in this sport as possible, and you know, conditioning is a big part of it. I felt like I learned a lot from the Simpson fight itself. You know, I knew what type of fighter Simpson was. He's a wrestler, he's a grinder. I knew what to expect. I should have done more in that fight. I still feel I could have easily won that fight. You know, he's a tough opponent, but I feel like I could have beaten him that night. I didn't have to go back to the gym and work on this or that. The only thing that was wrong that night was my mindset. Prior to that fight in the gym, if I'm stuffing somebody in my head, I'm winning that fight. But in a fight, you know, that's not always the case. They shoot on you, you stuff them, they push you against the cage and just grind you there. In the judges' eyes, they're winning. And, you know, I should have been more urgent to get off of that cage. I should have gotten him off of me, you know, reversed the position, got him back to the middle and, you know, struck with him. So that was the biggest learning factor and probably one of the biggest things I've ever learned. And, you know, I would have not learned it any other way than by what happened, losing to that guy. So that's something that I'll never let happen to me again. The Yang fight, another big learning experience. First time I've ever been, you know, had to deal with those types of things, being poked in the eye. You see fighters get poked in the eye and you don't really think much about it. I've been poked in the eye at practice before, but you know, my partners and I weren't going 100% and trying to kill each other. So my eye got better real fast. That fight, I literally saw two of him and it was weird because, you know, I didn't know which one I should I slip left, should I slip right? And it's kind of a scary feeling, but you know, it's something that I had to overcome right then and there. I did it, you know, I persevered through that eye poke and ultimately got the decision. After my last fight in England, I came back to Vegas for a few days, packed up my stuff, took a rifle home, some hunting gear, flew back to Hawaii, actually went to Lanai, hunted some goat and sheep there. I got to train a lot, got to help BJ a little bit before his last fight. Got to train with my old teammates and help them prepare for their fights. And got to do one of my favorite things, dive. I love diving. To those of you watching that don't know, when I say dive, I mean not jumping off cliffs, I like that too, but spear fishing. You know, I go with a spear gun, 3-prong spear, and go hunt fish. All my life I've been diving and I've just gone with my friends, you know. Nobody's really shown me how the eye, you gotta have the eye for the taco, the octopus. And so I've been going with some friends that have been teaching me, and luckily I've been picking up really fast and been finding some tacos. I just like to spear what I like to eat. I'm not too much of I mean, if I see a real big fish that I can get, of course I'm gonna take the shot. I just like to make sure that I can feed myself, my friends, you know. So I like koles. A lot of people really don't like maninis. I love maninis. Got a lot of big nenuis. A bunch of fish. You guys probably don't even know what those things are, but look them up, they're good. I believe in myself, you know, I have people around me that support me, that believe in me. So I know one day, you know, and I truly believe it when I say it, I'll get that gold. This year, you know, I plan to fight at least 3 times, if not more. If I gotta take a short notice fight, whatever it may be. But, you know, I wanna be in that picture. I wanna start break the top 10 and fight those top guys. You know, I would love to fight the winner of Vanderlei and Stan. You know, I got to get past Fukuda first, and I intend to by all means. I'm not looking past the guy, but I'm confident in myself. I'll beat him, and when I do, you know, I wouldn't mind fighting one of those two or, you know, anybody in the top 10. I don't ever like to say I'm going to knock somebody out or choke somebody out or whatever it may be, but do expect me to win because I'm confident in that. I'm going to bring a fight. And, you know, hopefully we put on a good fight for these fans. I've seen the way he fights, and it has the potential, you know, to be fight of the night, I think. Even though we're on a good stacked card, we can give him that fight. But make sure to tune in March 2nd to my fight. It's UFC on Fuel TV in Japan.